There she is.
There she is.
There she is.
There she is.
11:59 Verizon time.
Call Lamar City Council regular meeting to order Tuesday, December 6, 2016, 12 p.m. Would you please join me in pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have roll call, Bev?
Nelson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yes.
Rexinger?
Yes.
Goodchild? Wick?
Yes.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First thing on the agenda today is general discussion, and I'd like to introduce Mike Donlin, who is the president of our Lamar's Area Betterment Foundation. So, Mike.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council and staff. I'm here 6 weeks since my last update to provide information on how the ongoing campaign by the Lamar's Area Betterment Foundation to raise funds in support of our latest menu of community betterment projects. If you'll recall, last time we were about $308,000 still to go, somewhere near 90% of reaching our goal. But since then, another just over $250,000 has come in from our various efforts, and so I'm pleased to report that we're at 97% of meeting the match. About 77,000, 77 and a half still to go. Our efforts continue, and we've got some very good prospects still to be courted and closed out on. So it isn't with very much doubt that we're going to have success in at least making that match. But you all know that the overall goal is far in excess of merely meeting the match. So our efforts will continue throughout, as will the cities and others, for grants and other kinds of contributions to accomplish this. We did a mailing that reached out throughout the post office, postal people in town. That's early returns, somewhere in the $6,000 range came in. But we also, with Wells Assistance, approached some of their vendors and people they've got relationships with. That was just over $18,000. The city is also approaching in the same way some of the people the city deals with, and those are beginning to come in. If it came in the 18,000 like Wells did, that'd be cool, but it's coming. And so I think it's all good news. We had some wonderful news of a significant pledge that we shared with the community at a open house and ribbon cutting last week, with our new friends from Iowa State Bank stepped up and made their contribution. I'd like to let them come up and introduce themselves and give you in this setting an update of their perspective on our community betterment efforts. So Scott and Leroy.
Well, good,
About 20 minutes over.
good afternoon, and thanks for letting us come to this meeting. I'm Scott Kleiman. I'm VP at Iowa State Bank and the interim manager here. And a couple weeks ago, we had the privilege of going to the Lunch and Learn and heard City Administrator Scott Langell speak about all the exciting things that Lamar's has going on. And it's unbelievable all the things that you're working on and have done. And we're excited to be in Lamar's now and be a part of that. And being part of that, we'd like to make a contribution towards the Betterment Foundation. On behalf of the bank staff, the directors, we'd like to make a contribution of $25,000 over the next 5 years minimum, and kind of going forward to be a part of this.
You're gonna settle over there.
That's okay, just don't want to be in the background.
Let's try it again.
I think we gotta get him some of those heels.
It's getting too short.
Put him by tall.
Some of those clog heels, remember those old fashioned golf shoes?
So it raise them up a little bit.
We're either beating him down or he's getting old.
Gravity's getting him.
How we operate here in the north side of 3P, it's called public-private partnership. And today is another example from our friends with the Iowa State Bank here, and we want to welcome you here and wish you well. Thank you.
Mayor, we just want to say, this is our first donation to the town, as our doors are just open, but with the council and Mike, what attracted us to this donation is the 10 different projects, and typically it's usually a group looking at their personal passion. This one hits so many citizens in the whole town of Lamar's. I mean, it goes from a movie theater to a dog park, so you have different likes and different interests, so that's just a great project for us to start, and hopefully affects the whole town, so thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, moving on. We're still under general discussion, and I believe Stu Deckengay, our police chief, would like to make a comment or two.
Good afternoon. I just would like to bring the council up to speed on something that we're wrestling with. This may be, have some people get a hold of some of you that we're looking for a solution to. What I'm talking about is parades. Everybody loves a parade, and that's real evidenced by the number of people that showed up for the lighted Christmas parade last week. It was incredible, great turnout. However, not everything goes so smoothly always. I was contacted early this week by one of the drivers of one of the floats, and that driver told me that he almost ran over a small child on the parade route. And this is partially because we have established a culture that allows for the throwing of candy out on the street, and we've also allowed people to come out onto the street to retrieve that candy. What complicates this particular issue was it's the Christmas lighted parade, so the streets are dark. This happened in the Foster Park area, so the street is not really well lit. The parade floats are trying to show off their lighting, so some of them may not have their headlights on. The driver of this particular vehicle didn't see this young child until the child stood up. You know, you take a small kid and he's bending over and picking up candy off the street, you can understand how a person could miss that. It came within a couple of feet of striking this young child, and everybody was okay, so we had a real close call. What we're thinking about is we don't want to have another close call, and God forbid we have a tragedy on our hands at one of our parades. So what I'd like to do is just let the council know that we're going to be working on some solutions to this that may not be popular. And we'd like, as far as the police department, but also city staff, we would like the council's cooperation with this, because we may come back to you looking for an ordinance as it relates to possibly no parking along a parade route. And we may need some other help from the council at some point to basically put some teeth into our decisions. We will bring those decisions forward to the council through the city administration and let you know what we recommend. I think there's several possible solutions. You can, right away, you could check it off and say, okay, no candy throwing. Or there are other options. Jason and I talked about this at length the other day. And I think there's other safety solutions that we need to look at. I do think we need to look at the parking along the parade route. We definitely are going to have to get people off of the railroad right away as they're parked the railroad has been super cooperative with us as far as we letting them know when we're having a parade, and they're trying to schedule their trains around our parade. That's been successful, but we don't need somebody parked on their right-of-way and then getting hit by a train either if it comes through. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed with some of the things that we're wrestling with, and we're going to be bringing these things back to you as a council, either for information or we're going to be asking for your help. Some of the solutions that we're thinking about, obviously the first one is don't throw candy. If that doesn't go over well with people in the community, we still want to make a parade a fun event for everybody. Let's change the way we do it. Instead of throwing the candy from the parade float, every float or every entry that has that as something they want to do, they have to have somebody walking on the sidewalk passing candy out, instead of throwing it out to attract the kids onto the street. The other thing is we could possibly have a spotter walking next to every parade float that would help the driver of that float. It's another set of eyes watching in front and watching along the sides. So we could require those things of people. And then one of the things that we think that we should take a look at is parking along the parade route. We had some conflicts with people this last parade because they were blocking somebody else's view of the parade. The other thing that we run into is that a lot of the candy, go back to the candy again, but it ends up underneath a parked car. So then you have kids walking around and sometimes reaching under parked cars at the end of the parade trying to fill their baskets full of free candy. So I'm not looking for any rock solid solutions today. I just wanted to let you know, bring you up to speed with what we're wrestling with, and that we're going to be coming back to you with some recommendations, and hopefully we can find a good solution to this and avoid the tragedy.
Hey, Stu, much like out even parking, I'm assuming you would be looking at rules for all parades, not just one in particular. I realize that the lighted one is the dark one, and it poses, but if you're gonna come up with solutions, my suggestion would be it's all or none. It's all parades or none parades.
I would agree with that. We've struggled with this very same issue at some of the summer or high school parades, and then people get congregating in the downtown area, and then there again, they're going after the candy that's being thrown.
Sure.
So, I think we need to kind of take a pulse of the people that are driving in the parades, and also the people that are attending the parades. What do they want to see? Are they showing up at the parade with their kids just to scoop candy off the street? If that's that important, then we need to find a better way.
Okay. Thank you, Stu. We'll certainly appreciate your concerns about that, and you can be rest assured we'll be backing you.
Well, thank you. We'll be in touch, and we'll let you know what we think is a good solution.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the general discussion. Is there any other general discussion? Anybody have any other general discussion at this time? We do ask you to step up and stand on the podium and state your concerns. If not, we'll move on. John, citizen?
Yeah, I'd say thumbs up to Public Works. They did a lot of work coordinating this summer as far as cleaning up and maintaining the parks, storm cleanup of all the trees, and as we are near fall, fixing the streets. And now storms are, well, obviously snowstorms will be coming, and I'm sure they're going to do a great job of maintaining the streets. So thumbs up to our Public Works.
Thank you. Clark?
Nothing, thank you.
Steve?
Nothing today. Pass. I'll pass, thank you.
I do have one thing, and I think we talked about the parade and everything, but I happened to be involved with the Pioneer Village here last Saturday and Sunday night, and that's a beautiful program. You talk about kids having fun. It's really worth seeing if you haven't been out to watch it or see it. I happened to be involved in the Kiwanis, and we made 1,700 popcorn balls, and and thought it'd take us for 2 weeks, and we ran out last Sunday night, so. Anyway, moving on to the consent items. All items listed on the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on those items unless a request is made prior to the time the council votes on the motion. Today, we have 6 of them. Approval of the 11/15/16 regular and 11/29/16 special meeting minutes, a list of bills for the period ending 11/30/16, a renewal of the liquor license at Four Brothers, a 12th Street Southeast Improvement Project, the final plat at Yosmus Addition, Plymouth County, and a detour approval. Does any council member have any questions or want to pull any of these?
I'd like to pull number 4.
Number 4, okay, 12th Street Southeast Project. Go ahead, Clark.
Was somebody gonna?
I just got a question
Okay.
on the detour approval. Why the heck do we approve the detour? So it's just something we've always done when they do construction next to us?
I think it's because
I think the DOT is required.
Using city streets.
Yeah, but
Definitely using the city streets.
we're using the city streets, but the proposal here is back in October, November? But it hasn't been let or anything, right? I mean, this is just, we can't tell them no, right?
No, you certainly can. They'd have to find a different way around besides using city streets. The county approved a closure at 38 and the bypass. And they also approved then that the county would allow a bypass of that intersection. The county's and state's proposition to bypass that is to use predominantly city streets, as you see depicted on this map.
That was, I guess, my question really was, since the county's already approved this and this is the way to go, like you said, we can probably say no, but we want to get it done too, so we really got to say yes.
So that's why we put it under consent. I think it seems like the right thing to do from my perspective, that we approve it. On the other hand, it is city streets, and any traffic, east-west traffic that's going to be on C-38 will end up taking this route to get around that intersection. So that could be a number of semis, other trucks,
Well, it will be.
farm equipment.
It will be. It will be a number of vehicles. I mean, it'll last for a while is what it says.
Yeah.
The one obstacle I see is that Key and C-38, is somebody gonna make an effort to broaden that curve so semis can get around that? I mean, they're coming down a hill, and people coming over from the west are coming down a hill. You don't want them swerving out over that other lane completely, so.
I don't think any additional pavement was proposed, but they're gonna put pavement markings on that pavement to show the maneuvers, is my understanding. That's in the body of this agreement that the county passed with DOT. That is addressed in there.
I don't think they have too many other choices, really,
They have other choices, but it would be extensive.
yeah.
For example, they could really start controlling it at C-38 and K-49 and take them down to C-44 on into Merrill, and then back out by the ethanol plant. Is that K-42? Yeah. K-42 out to C-38, so it would be a lot more miles.
This is really no city, no traffic being routed through any city either, so.
What's that, John?
No traffic being routed through a city this way.
It goes on Lake and Key is the
Right,
two
as opposed to
streets.
like having to go through Merrill or whatever.
Well, good point. Merrill, you'd be going right through the downtown, whereas we would be staying pretty much exclusively in our industrial park area at least. So, yeah, I really felt that, and I told Tom that I think it should take council action if you want, because, I mean, there could be some people that complain about it, given the length of time this could take.
Well, I think Kenny's comment, though, is coming down and turning on Key, is there enough shouldering on that turn on Key to have trucks not go off the shoulders if they're trying to make the turn?
Are you talking the intersection by NIPCO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge, that's got
No,
an airport's worth of runway there.
No, because that's the one that's gonna be shut down.
that's, you're talking about
Okay,
the
which
highway,
one are you talking?
Up at the top of the hill.
Key and C-38.
Where they intersect, this is the road that comes back to Wells Corporate on the
He's
east
a
side.
driveway to NIPCO, Clark,
Right.
that street that goes right into NIPCO north to south.
It's north
That
of
is a
the,
smaller intersection.
They could at least put down some heavy rock in there for a little,
I'm sure,
That would help,
I'm sure
yeah.
the state will deal with it as they
Yeah.
have to.
but that's where, if they're coming down off the hill and they're trying to make that curve, we've had washouts there before when we were doing the street project, if I remember right. Because it kind of tapers off pretty heavily on both sides. So that was, I think, that, all of a sudden you're taking a farm truck, not the truck, but the trailer, what's called, trying to make that, and those animals.
I could talk to Tom, all traffic control devices for the detour would be put up by the county. And I could talk to him about putting some additional ones, A, to slow the traffic down coming over that hill,
Yeah,
and B, given some advance warning that there will be a left-hand turn.
yeah, because they got stuff that'll move in a lot of vehicles.
Everybody thinks it's a straight through right now, especially if they're trying to head east. Well, they won't be able to do that, so they're gonna have to turn.
Right,
And to maneuver that corner, we need to slow them down.
well, and you got, it's an east-west street, I hate to say that, but that just means it's a sun-up, sundown street. At certain times, you're not gonna see,
Yeah.
because of the way the sun is, especially with the hill. So, maybe that's too much information for a consent item, but I just
No, that's fine. We need to address it.
think we got a word there.
I got a
Clark had one on 12th Street.
He wants to maybe pull one. I got a question on page 6 of the expenditures. Under convention center, there's an entry for rotor excavation, which I
Yeah,
think should be in
We
450.
recoded that,
Oh, okay.
just had a number off.
Okay, sorry.
Is that your question? Okay, Clark, 12th Street.
12th Street, Pat, you're in the house. I'm gonna throw these at you. Is it just me, or am I noticing two noticeable bumps in this project? There's one right by the fire hydrant where you come down off of Second, out of the, you'd be coming off of Second, out of the north. Now, that's where it's at. But if you're traveling east and west, you feel a noticeable bump about 20, 30 feet into this concrete project. I mean a noticeable one. And then there's another one by the fire plug down by fire station number 2. There's two pretty good bumps in this project. And for a new project, I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly crazy about it, and I'd kind of like to know why.
I'm not familiar with the one you must be, the first one you were talking about must be on the very east end.
It's on the east end, it's about 30 foot into the project.
Okay.
And it's pretty noticeable. I drove it twice today, 3 times today, just to make sure.
Okay. I haven't noticed that one. The only other one that I've noticed is right by the bridge. There-
Okay, that's the fire plug I'm talking about
Okay.
there too.
And I believe that's the way that they poured that, they paved that, they came from the east to the bridge, and because the bridge was there, they had the guardrail on the one side, they couldn't pave through that. They started paving on the west side of the bridge and paved to 12th Street, and then they filled in that piece there. So that, it wasn't a continuous pave through there, so there is a little bit of variation with the different paving techniques and machines.
My concern is there won't be, 2 years from now, a problem there that will be worse than it is now.
I don't believe so, no.
I mean, in your professional opinion, you
Yeah.
don't think so? Okay, that's
No.
all I'm asking, that's all you can give me, but the other one too, I noticed that they're, like I say, 30 feet from the east end, I think is Pretty noticeable bump.
And I could look at that, like I said, I have not noticed that one, but again, that would be more than likely due to,
A joint?
well, not necessarily the joint, but the change in the paving cross-section, because right at the Second Street, where, you know, what the original paving cross-section was, which had a pretty high crown on it, and as we continued to the west, the street crown dropped, it flattened out, so it more than likely is in that transition zone. I can drive through there and pay a little closer attention, I guess, next time I go through there, but like I said, I hadn't noticed that one.
Well, my concern is just 2 years, 4 years from now, those areas not being a problem. And I know you don't have a magic wand and you don't have
Right.
a crystal ball, but in your professional opinion.
I don't think it's due to settlement or anything like that, if that's what your concern is. I think it's due
They're
to...
actually raises, they're not settlements at this point.
Right, but the bump is not caused by, you know, subgrade failure below.
Okay.
I believe it's just because of the transitions between the different paving sections.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Fred?
Yes, can you also tell us, what did the final cost come in on this project? What was the bid and what was the final cost?
I don't have that
Do
information.
you?
Not with me.
I think it was fairly close to what it was. We did have one change order to add a casting in, but then there was in that same change order, there was a deduction for liquidated damages, and I think they about washed, so
Came in pretty close.
I'm,
All right,
Okay,
I guess, yep, that's fine.
Motion to approve consent items 1 through 6.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to approve items 1 through 6. Could we have a roll call, Bill?
Knapp?
Yep.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Rexlinko?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on to the action items. First one is offer to purchase city real estate. The city has received a verbal request to purchase Outlot B, North Greenview Estates, first filing. An aerial of the area is attached. The council has discussed this piece of property in the past as a second access to North Greenview Estates. The 25-foot platted parcel was dedicated to the city for secondary access by the developer as required by Planning and Zoning Commission, by the City Council, and by Chapter 165, City Code Ordinance, Subdivision Regulations, parentheses, Sections 165-19, 1,320 feet between the street lines. In addition to the property being a potential secondary access, the property also contains an existing 6-inch water main. If the council chooses to sell, an easement will need to be maintained and over the entire property. If the council wishes to proceed, a public hearing must be established. Adjoining property owners will be notified and will be encouraged to submit an offer if interested. The staff recommendations council established a public hearing. And I believe you've got a picture in there of where it's at, and the resolution. And
Motion adopting resolution number 1641, establishing the January 7th, what's that?
1642.
Next resolution, 41.
No,
Did we do
it was the one in the,
My bad,
That's all right.
1642. January 17th, 2017, 12 PM for a public hearing on vacation of real estate to consider and any and all offers received by January 10th, 2016 at 5 PM for Outlot B, Greenview Estates, first filing.
is there a second?
So moved.
Motion made and second, adopting resolution number 16-42, establishing January 17th, 2017, at 12 PM for a public hearing on the vacation of real estate and to consider and any or all offers received by January 10th, 2016, at 5 PM for Outlet B, North Green Estates, first filing. January 10th, 2016, that should be That should be 2017, right?
Yep.
Typo.
Johnny missed that deadline.
Clean that up. Okay,
January's always a fuzzy month.
do we have roll call on that, Bev?
Wick?
Yes.
Rexminkel?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yep.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion carried. Bruce, you have any questions on it?
No, I don't. Thank you, guys.
You betcha.
You guys have any questions?
Is there a format, or is this a letter?
I'll have to talk to
We're gonna get a format, so you're gonna have to fill out a format versus a
That's
letter,
fine,
okay?
Thank you.
It's gotta be similar for everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Okay, moving on to item number 2, Business Highway 75 Overlay Project. Payment plans are prepared by Schofield Engineering for Business Highway 75 Overlay Project. Schofield will present an overview of the program. The recommendation is city engineer recommends approval by council to proceed according to attached schedule and project details. Financial impact from this would be funding from the Lamar's Urban Renewal TIF revenues and from Highway 75 Bypass Urban Renewal TIF revenues. And Pat, I assume you're going to talk about the dates here at this time?
The scope of this project is identical to what was bid earlier this year in August, which we received no bids on. We have had a few discussions with some of the paving associations. I think last year why we didn't get bid was scheduling, that contractors were booked up for the end of the year, and they couldn't take on this job. So bidding it in early 2017 for construction spring 2017, we should, something this size, I think will attract pretty good bids on it. So engineer's estimate on this is $1.6 million. Today, we're setting the date and time for the public hearing and the letting. Public hearing for January 3rd, bid opening for January 12th, and council consideration of bids for January 17th. The reason for the time between the opening and the letting is the DOT also has a letting on the 17th, so we wanted to leave a few days in between there so the contractors aren't cramming to prepare bids for both our letting and the DOT letting. Completion date of July 2017, $250 a day liquidated damage, and something that's different that Scott and I have talked to about on this project. There's numerous businesses along this project route, and in an effort to minimize the amount of time that this will be closed and minimize the effects on these businesses, looking at incentive and disincentive for the closure. If you recall, from the previous time I presented these, this project is broke out into 4 sections, and we're allowing full closure and detour of each section. Not all of them can be closed at once. I think at maximum we can have 3 closed at once with the detours around them. But Section 1 is from Highway 3 to the curve south of 4th Street. Section 2 is between the McDonald's, Baumgart's 2 driveways, south to 12th Street. Section 3 is from the south return on 12th Street to the south end of the project. And then Section 4 is between the McDonald's driveways. It's the fill-in between Sections 1 and 2. I looked at these projects kind of, in my mind, efficiently how this contractor, if they were after it to get in and get out, how much time it would take them, then factored in a few days for weather, and that's where I came up with the allowable closure days and the maximum days. If they do everything, bing, 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 they can probably get to Sections 1 and 2 done in 2.5 weeks. So if they perform like they're supposed to, they have 10 days of incentive to pay to get that done, and we looked at that as $1,000 a day. So each section, they would have a $10,000 bonus to get that in, get it done, get it out of there. And then after 30 days, if they don't get it done within that time, they have to pay a disincentive payment of the same amount, $1,000 a day. So similar to liquidated damages somewhat, but it's not the same. You're putting your dollar amount up front, what you think this is worth if they get it done early. So more of a carrot than a stick trying to get it done. So that was the main difference between this letting and the last one. The last one, we did not include this incentive, disincentive. This is something that DOT uses. We'll be following their specification for this portion of the project.
Is it easier to enforce?
I think you have more teeth in the fact that you're putting money out there. You say if you get done early, you get this amount. If you don't, well, we value it at this, so this is the disincentive for getting it done late.
Because if memory serves me, liquidated damages are next to impossible to collect on. And so, and I see Joe's nodding yes, and so if this is a better, I like the idea of a bonus if you do great work. Is this a grind and overlay? Is there gonna be a grind in front and then? an
Portions of it will be. For instance, the section 1, which is Highway 3 to the highway curve, that will, the whole center section that's asphalt will be milled some 2 inches to 4 inches at the curb. Section 2, there's quite a bit of milling on that as well because we're matching into the curb on the west side. Sorry, section 4. Section 2, there's very little milling. It's milling off the existing curb and transitions into the 2 other paving sections. And the same way on section 3 is transitions to the 12th Street interchange and to the existing pavement on the south end and milling off the curb. So various places there'll be different milling, but there will be milling.
Okay. But we are going down to where the new pavement stops south of First National or Northwest Bank and
Right.
We're going down to that new spot.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
And Vanderpool will be out of the way so the white top people can come in?
Right. They are out of the way.
They're out of the way in this section, right, already? Yep. I think
Yep.
they are out of the way,
Yep.
so, okay.
Okay, any questions for Pat?
Yeah, do you have an indication on the section 1 of what the start date would be proposed?
Well, the way this is, the completion date of July 1st, 2017, if you add up these allowable closure days, it equals 5 months. I'm anticipating that they're going to be working in multiple sections at once, and so the closure periods are going to overlap. I think it'd be about 3.5 months. In order to hit that July 1, that means they're going to mid-April start. I would anticipate they would start on that section. So, you know, a spring start on section 1 would be my guess on that. It's ultimately up to the contractor to decide their workflow, but to me, that makes the most logical sense from their standpoint.
The reason I bring that up is because Mother's Day falls in the first week of May, 10th, 12th. And I absolutely cannot have that closed for Mother's Day unless somebody's going to write me a check because it'll put me out of business. We put up with the BS all summer last year and definitely going to be squealing until we figure out a date that will work. I have very few options to get in there except the alley. So, I'm sure other business people will be concerned too, but Mother's Day is 1/4 of our year's business, and I just can't be closed. So they either have to start early and get out of there, or start later.
Well, I sympathize with you, Ken, but at the risk of sounding unsensitive, I do sympathize with you, but I don't think a project this size can be shaped around any one business. I think Bob's could argue, you know, they can't be closed over the 4th of July or it'll kill them. I think that.
Bob's has another exit.
Okay, I'm just merely making
Yeah.
a point, that any business could make an argument that, gosh, this is the worst time of year you can do this for me. And I do sympathize with you, and maybe it can be taken into consideration and worked around, but you start doing it for one, and then all of a sudden you got, you know, Papa John's or whoever, I think you gotta be kind of careful.
Papa John's or whoever has a paved alley, we do not, so
It's an example.
Yeah.
It's an example.
just bring it up, because I will be watching this.
I got one question, though.
All right.
What if, I would like to go to $2,000 a day versus 1,000. I want to make it worth their while. This is $1.6 million project, and we think $1,000 a day is going to make these guys get it done? I mean, let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's go to $2,000, because heck, if they get done in 10 days early, I'd pay them $20,000.
And you can certainly do that. You can adjust the amount per section if you think that.
Well, I mean, this first section that Kenny's involved in, I mean, I'm not speaking for Kenny, but that got screwed all summer. So I don't care if we give them $5,000 a day there to get out of there. The fact of the matter is we got to get somebody that comes in, gets a project done, and gets out.
Takes it serious.
And an incentive, I don't see how $1,000 a day incentive doesn't do nothing for me on a $1.6 million project. I'm sorry.
What kind of contractors, Pat, are you anticipating that'll be bidding this?
I'm-
Cedar Valley and these people? I mean, they're
Yes.
big contractors.
Yes, that's the contractors that pulled plans last fall. I believe it'll be the same group that will this time, and it was Manats. Knife River did not, I don't believe, but Manats, which is a big paving contractor from central and eastern Iowa, Cedar Valley, I'm drawing a blank here. There was another large paving contract. These are large contractors. They're
My
not.
point is, these are good-sized, big contractors that
Yes.
paved interstates and everything else.
Yes.
So I'm like Rex, you know?
Those two firms are currently working on Highway 20.
Yeah, they are right now, yeah.
Is that a positive or a negative?
That's
That's positive.
That's
That's a
positive.
positive, because you're saying they're in the neighborhood.
They're in the neighborhood.
They're in the
They got bad
But I'm with
spots.
a Rex too, and a project this size, $1,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to, say, 5.
But my question is, can we do that subsequent to the bid? Or does that have to be part of the bid document?
Has to be in the bid document, I would think.
I would think you would want it as part of the bid document, so
Okay,
that,
so are we agreeable that we gotta do $2,000, $3,000 a day? Both ways?
Seems logical to me.
Because we're gonna get the negatives too. If they don't get it done, we're going after them for it. You know, because this, I'm just looking at it as a potential another disaster.
I like the idea of being incentivized, particularly with these type of contractors.
I mean, if you can give them, $3,000 or $2,000 a day in cash to get something done, I bet they're working at 9 o'clock at night. Because they can afford to pay their people overtime and still get it done, still make their pay. And then the doors are open for these guys with businesses. So, Mm-hmm.
The least time the streets are closed for emergency response compared to last summer would be a lot nicer too, thank you.
well, same thing, right? I mean, I don't want to just give taxpayer money away, that's not my goal. My goal is to sit there and get the street back in order as quick as possible, and if it cost us $1.7 million versus $1.6 million, and we're all done because we got $100,000 incentive pay, but we got it all done in 55 days, I think a lot of people will be happy.
Have you ever had one of these before, Pat?
I have not done that incentive disincentive.
I think it's a
before,
great
no.
idea. Is everybody
I'm
all
with Rex on it.
So
Let's do 1,000.
let's throw three on all the sections with your number of days. You've got to tell us from an engineering standpoint, how many days they are, so they know if they're before those days, you give them
And
3,000.
that will be spelled out in the proposal, that, $3,000 a day, their maximum will be 10 days for each section,
Right.
so,
And I don't want to pick on different prices in different sections, I think that would money it too much.
sure.
So let's do all 4 sections, that's what they get, if they get it done. Because if they're all out of here by Memorial Day, shoot, we'll have a party.
You're talking 3,000 per day, right?
Per day, if they're all,
You're talking a 3-month project, 90 days?
no, it can't be 9 days, it can
no.
only be 10 days
Per-
for each section.
You said 10 per, yeah, right, so that's 40.
So that's 40 days
So we could have
maximum.
$100,000 if they were absolutely perfect. But if they're out of here by Memorial
I like
Day,
it. I like
we
it.
can pay 100 grand.
120,000 then if they did the,
If they got it all done by Memorial Day, they get 120. Hey, I bet you we'd have a party.
I make a motion to establish January.
No, wait, time out a second. Can we aid, can we, where does Mother's Day fall in that schedule, Ken?
Around the 12th. 10 or 12.
But,
I haven't looked at the calendar.
but
yet,
if I give the incentive pay and we start with section 1,
He's out of there.
he's got to get done.
Right, that's what I'm
And
saying.
we got to give those guys 30 grand because they got to move it on, otherwise they ain't going to get the other incentive pays.
Right.
I'm just thinking, now,
You
that
can give me-
might not happen.
You can give me the incentive dollars.
I'm not sure that, I can't promise you it's going to happen,
But
but
that, or we could have the
Or I'll
mayor,
retire.
we could have the mayor move Mother's Day this year for Lamar.
Get the mayor involved.
To September.
We'll see how that goes.
I'm in trouble already on that, no
It's
way.
time to make a motion.
Yeah.
To establish
Thank you.
January 3, 2017 at 12 PM for a public hearing on plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the business Highway 75 overlay project, and establishing January 12, 2017 at 10 a.m. to receive and open bids, with said bids to be considered at the January 17, 2017 meeting, noting a change for closure incentive and disincentive of $3,000 per day as opposed to $1,000 per day as listed.
Second.
Motion been made and second to establish January 3rd, 2017 at 12 p.m. for a public hearing on plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Business Highway 75 overlay project, and establishing January 12th, 2017 at 10 a.m. to receive and open bids for said bids to be considered at the January 17, 2017 meeting. Note of change, or how was that, John?
Closure incentive and
Closure
disincentive at
incentive.
$3,000 as opposed to the $1,000 listed on the attached table.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Pat.
When you send out these bid documents, that's going to be in bold,
Yeah.
okay?
Put that in bold.
Put that in bold so that they don't miss it.
Yeah.
Because that may make a difference on people bidding too.
Yes, it will.
So that would change your engineer's estimate to 1.72 million. correct?
Well, but it doesn't change the estimate, it just
No.
makes an additional cost if they actually hit it.
Right, and the proposal, just so you know, what is I intended to do on the proposal is to just fill in the maximum days, so that the bids that we receive will indicate the maximum days. When we actually get into the project, if they don't get those, will be less, but that way you guys have an idea right up front what that maximum amount would be, pending any other changes, so.
Perfect.
And I won't have to worry about changes Mother's Day. Okay, let's move on.
Good luck with that.
2017.
That was a great idea.
Okay, thanks, Pat, on that one. 2017 Crescent Ridge paving project. The paving plans are prepared by Schofield Engineering for 2017 Crescent Ridge paving project. Pat will be here to present the overview of the project. The city engineer recommends the approval of council by proceeding according to the attached schedule and project details. The funding or financial impact of funding for special assessment partially, and the balances from the road use tax. So you want to talk about that one, Pat?
Sure. This project is paving for the Crescent Ridge project. We'll be paving from the end of the existing paving on the west end near the crest of the hill, east of Wells Corporate, to, it's about 2,200 feet to the west. It'll take us right into where the new lift station was just installed, kind of in the northeast corner of Lot 1 of the subdivision. Estimated cost, it's a 27-foot wide pavement. The north half, which is in the county, is 12-foot wide, no curb. The south half, which is in the city limits, is 15.5-foot wide with the full curb and gutter. And then the other piece of this project is part of the underground project. We had, I believe there was 6 storm sewer intakes that we built the bottom portions of those. This project will include the finishing of those inlets. We have 2 residential driveways that will be put in. The return I forget which street it is, but there's a platted street as part of the Crest Ridge addition. The return will go in there. It's right next to Dave Langel's shed to the east of that.
36th Street.
36. I was thinking 360th, but it didn't make sense. So it's 36th Street. And then on the very west end, paving a driveway into the lift station area, and directly opposite on the north side, similar driveway to give the snowplows a place to turn around. So that's the extent of the project. It's going to be anticipated that the paving will go basically on top of the existing gravel. There'll be some reshaping to correct cross slope issues with the existing gravel, but there won't be a lot of cutting or filling required for the street. Should be something that they should be able to get in first thing in the spring. There's no significant dirt work that needs to be done. So my estimated cost on this is $335,000. The bid schedule is intended to bring this parallel with the Highway 75 paving project. So we have 2 paving projects that we're bringing in to bid at the same time, hopefully, again, to attract contractors to this area for both projects. For this one, we have a completion date of May 15. Anticipated that they can start early spring as well on this one. Looked at the incentive, disincentive on this one as well. We do have 2 residences along this street. Both of them are considerable distance from the existing pavement to their residence. It'd be very difficult to get in and out of their properties while this is under construction. The whole procedure to come up with the allowable closure days and incentive days was similar to what I did on the 75 project. We do have something in the specification that the contractor is required to maintain access for the local traffic up until the point where they need to pave. So I anticipate that this will be a 1, possibly 2-day pour for the main line portion of it, and then we'll have somewhere around 5 days, I think, for cure time. So, it should be closed for those users, for those 2 residences for about a week, that they won't be able to get on it. And again, this one, we had 15 allowable closure days. We could anticipate closing it to local traffic, or closing it through traffic at the beginning of the project. It's going to take a couple days for them to get prepped for pave, and then the cure time. So, 10 days construction time, giving them 5 incentive days on that at $1,000 a day. So, I guess.
No, I
So
think.
Scott,
this one's
the north half won't have a curb and the south half will have a curb, so are we gonna track those north half costs so we know for future special assessment, we'll know exactly what those costs were for the north half?
We are paving the whole road, right?
Yep.
I just saw that.
Yes.
Any other questions?
People up, don't you? You just like to round people up.
Any other questions?
Motion establishing January 3rd, 2017 at 12 p.m. for a public hearing on plan specification forms contract and estimated cost for the 2017 Crescent Ridge paving project, and establishing January 2nd, 2017 at 10 a.m. to receive and open bids, with said bids to be considered January 17th at 2017 meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have we looked at blacktopping this? I mean, I know it was brought up some time ago. Did we ever look into it?
Yes, I did. I looked at several different paving options. And I can't recall exactly, just the general trend is, though, that asphalt paving does not get you the savings that it used to over concrete paving. And beyond that,
Well, I think you wanted still curb and gutter to be concrete.
what's that?
You want curb and gutter to be concrete.
Right, you'd have the curb and gutter
So you'd
section
have
being
a curb
concrete
and gutter with
anyway.
Somebody that maybe isn't doing the asphalt, and that would be
with the concrete curb and gutter, then there's an elevation difference between that asphalt and the concrete curb and gutter. And so drainage becomes an issue, and even the rideability becomes an issue there. And so we elected to just go with the concrete.
I mean, just in some of these lower traffic areas, I think of Marty Pickett's addition, more blacktop out there. We talked about blacktopping 14th for a while. I think we did, there's blacktop on Marble, isn't there? Out by the golf course?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just, I was just asking the question, have we ever looked at blacktopping this?
Not in the city part.
Well, again, we did, Pat and I looked at it, but we really feel that it's unsurmountable as far as the problems that that's going to give in front of what's already platted. In the case of Marty,
It's just an example.
yeah, but in his case, in the case of North Greenview on Mahogany, for example, that which is in front of the platted subdivision is in fact Portland cement concrete. So if you really picture that, we've got a 27.5-foot slab, just like what's being proposed here in both of those cases, Winslow and North Greenview. Where we put the asphalt in both cases, there is asphalt out there, but between K-49 and the first property line of the platted addition, that's where we put the asphalt. So we put asphalt to get to that point, but not in front of the platted addition.
Okay.
And the same thing on Mahogany.
Okay.
Exact same thing out there.
Okay. I follow what you're saying, and yeah, you're right, concrete does lay on Marty's, it lays up there on top.
Again, the complication is that PC curb and gutter section with adjacent asphalt, you would have to either just make the asphalt completely sacrificial, and now you got extra cost, or you're gonna have a drainage issue and a rideability.
But you always said that the asphalt actually plays as a better underlayment for future overlay.
Well, that's why I want to create it in Mahogany's case, that will be the underlayment, if you will, for a PC slab someday.
Someday.
But that's leading up to it, and it's not in front of the addition.
Okay, motion made and second to establish January 3rd, 2017 at 12 p.m. for a public hearing on plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the 2017 Crescent Ridge paving project, and establishing January 12th, 2017 at 10 a.m. to receive and open bids, with said bids to be considered at the January 17th meeting, 2017 meeting. Do we, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Oppose?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, going on to number 4, K-49 widening project. Attached is a Plymouth County GIS map showing a location of the K-49 widening project as proposed by the county. The project would be developed from 18th Street Southeast to C-38, which is 1.5 miles in length, approximately a half a mile in city limits, and 1 mile in the county. County is requesting to plan and schedule the project together with city for uniform, consistent improvement and cross-section. The existing pavement is all the narrow 20 feet and is all approximately the same age. County's 5-year plan may allow it to be included in either fiscal year 2020 or fiscal year 2021. Funding is possible through the federal STP program, however not guaranteed. Application deadline is currently established in February 2017 and would be submitted jointly to the city and the county. The cost estimates have not been developed. The recommendation from the city administrator and engineer recommends council authorize the project for 4 to 5 years out. Coordinate and collaborate with county for planning, scheduling, and applying for funding and implement the project jointly. The financial impact be the city's share of funding by road use tax, either 1/3 of the total project cost or 1/3 of local share if federally funded through STP, estimated at 80/20 or about 6.6%. Questions on this one?
Is this the county asking us to help them with the project, or are we asking them to help?
County has asked us.
County has asked us.
I hate to ask this question, but they wouldn't help us up on Crescent Ridge. They wouldn't help us on Crescent Ridge. I mean, I want K-49 done. I'm not gonna sit here and, I'm gonna go for it. But it kinda bothers me that they want us to help them, but yet they wouldn't help us up on top of the hill, which is one of my big oppositions to it. And it kinda bothers me a little bit that it doesn't seem to be a give and take.
Agreed.
I would say you're not the only one that thinks that.
I'm just the only one that asked this. Well, okay, but it bugs me. I mean,
I think you have to consider the amount of traffic and which is a thoroughfare and which is necessary and which is
aside.
not necessary except for six
But-
people. So
but you gotta give Clark the method that, the method to their madness doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
We've been trying to help them on a lot of different projects, including all the community betterment projects, some of which don't even lead outside into the county, and they still act like, oh, we're just bad people, and we're not. But we need to put this on the list, we need to try to get some SDP dollars, otherwise we're both gonna spend a lot of dollars on it.
Absolutely.
So the reality is we gotta vote for this to hopefully do it in 2020 or 2021.
But if we don't get the funds, we still have the opportunity to back out of it. don't
We absolutely do, because
Yeah.
that's not what we're saying.
So should the motion, if we're gonna make a motion, say contingent on STP funding?
I think you should, yeah.
Yeah, you could.
Yep.
Motion approving and authorizing the K-49 widening project from 18th Street to 38th Street, subject to STP funding with the cooperative agreement with Plymouth County for planning, scheduling, funding, and implementing either FY '20 or '21.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Motion made and second approving and authorizing the K-49 widening project from 18th Street southeast to C-38 through the cooperative agreement with Plymouth County, STP funding for planning, scheduling, and funding and implementing either fiscal year 2020 or 21. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to number 5, Marble Avenue CCP Railroad Crossing. Attached is a highway-rail grade crossing signal estimate provided by Plymouth County by CCP Railroad Company, a subsidiary of the Canadian National Railway Company. The proposed safety improvements include installation of new CWT circuitry with automatic flashing lights, signals, bells, and gates. Marble Avenue is split at the center line with the west half in the city of Lamar's corporate limits and the east half in Plymouth County. The project is being developed through the IDOT Railroad Safety Program, which includes 80% funding by the state, 10% funding by the railroad, and 10% by local jurisdiction. Therefore, the total estimate is $248,469.50. The state would pay 80%, which is $198,775.60. The railroad would pay 10%, $24,846.95. And the local match would be $24,000 at 10%, be $24,846.95. Local 50/50 county-city would mean it'd be $12,423.48 each. City administrator and engineer recommends the council fund city share of $12,423.48 or 5% of the total actual, whichever is less. The financial impact, $12,423.48 funded by the road use tax. In other words, they're paying 5% of the total project, right, Scott?
Yes.
Out of $248,469.
5%.
CN is doing it a lot cheaper. Those two crossings at 18th and 12th, those were in the 400,000 range. So with 248,000, and Tom believes that's even elevated a little bit from what it was originally when he talked to the railroad. So CN is doing it somehow cheaper than UP.
Is it as wide though, Scott? I mean, 12th certainly is much wider.
I agree with that,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that clarification. 12th is wider, and that was the most expensive, I think that was $1.5 million. The other one, though, 18th Street is roughly the same.
About the same, about the same.
Yeah.
Any questions?
So how many gates do we have left then? We gotta be getting, what are we, about half and half with this one done? We'd be about half and half?
This is the only one on the CN system, so Park Lane and Fourth, and over there at First where the depot is, none of those are done.
Central.
Central isn't done.
Central's not done.
I just got an email, however, from somebody, that DOT, oh, I know, Scott Knight, DOT's coming in and probably gonna do Plymouth, because that's State Highway 3. So he's got a meeting scheduled with the DOT and the railroad at Plymouth Street. I don't know of any movement on the part of Central yet. And then we got First West and Second West and Fourth.
Because once we get gates on everything, we could move into that whole discussion of 2 years ago. It was brought up by a lady about quiet zones too, right? Isn't one of the requirements gates, and once you get your gates in place, you can start establishing quiet zones?
Yeah,
So I mean, we're working towards that.
it is, I agree.
Is the, and the way they reconfigured over the fairway, would it mean they could go faster through town also?
Probably not much. They get the curve.
No, they got,
They got the curve.
Yeah, I can say, but the way they reconfigured it, they can go faster now than they did before.
Can and do.
I think they do go fast.
the UP definitely goes faster.
Yeah, most
Through-
of that is due to the fact that they can control that switch up there
Since they put the switch in.
electronically.
Yeah.
They don't have to stop and get out.
Manually,
Yeah.
And CNN still's pretty good about coming through slow. I mean, they haven't done much change. Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
Motion approving the city funding $12,423.48 or 5% of the total actual cost, whichever is less, for the Marble Avenue CCP rail crossing safety improvements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second approving city funding, $12,423.48 or 5% of the total actual cost, whichever is less, for the Marble Avenue CCP rail crossing safety improvements. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, number 6 is the mayor and city council salary. The salaries for the mayor and city, the mayor and council were last increased in 2006. That was a year of 2006, right? The mayor currently receives $12,000 annually, and the council receives $6,000 annually. Staff recommendation, if the council decides to increase salaries, a motion is needed to set a public hearing in order to amend the Code of Ordinances. Salaries cannot be increased during current terms, therefore increases would occur at the beginning of a new term. Anybody got any questions? Comments?
I worked with various mayors over 25 years. I think I started, it was 1,800. Is that right, Bev? Something like that? And we raised it.
Oh, not the year.
Can you ask me?
And what we tried to do is figure out what time was being spent. And I know at the time, and I haven't done a very good job the last couple of years, but I've been averaging about 400 hours a year doing city council work. The mayor, I know, averages well more than that, probably closer to 1,000 to 1,200 hours a year, which means he's getting a whopping $10 an hour. And all the mayors that I've worked for have put in way more time, way more hours than the pay they get. I'm not gonna speak to whether the council needs a raise, but I think the mayor should go to either 15 or 18,000 a year at least, so that we keep trying to attract good mayors that wanna keep working hard, because it's worked for us as citizens. So, that's my 2 cents.
And I cannot support an increase for council members. I'm mad on that.
I agree with John on that. And originally, a couple of years ago, until I learned how the actual raise system worked, I did want to give Dick a raise, because I think Dick does an amazing job for this town. That said, I kind of disagree with one part that Rex said, and that is, it doesn't ensure that the next one, and I think that if you start getting it to a point, you increase the possibility that somebody wants the job for the money. And let's face it, everybody sitting up here and anybody who has ever sat up here understands it's not about the money at all. First of all, when I first ran, I had no clue we even got paid. I had to call Christie because I was asked by somebody, said, "You get paid for that?" And I have no clue, got asked again, literally 2 days later, I called Christie and she looked it up. And so I didn't know there was pay involved. But I almost think you get better people with little or no pay, because they're there because they want to be. And the minute, and maybe it's totally agreed, we're not talking council now, we're talking mayor. Dick does an amazing job. But maybe he decides not to run. So we're giving an increase on the job that's being performed. Unfortunately, the code's set up where you only reward the next election cycle. So,
But
but
we
looking at the
don't-
comparisons, I just don't feel that Lamar's is out of line at all. And I'll be the first to say Dick does an amazing job. I'm just concerned that the next guy might not. And
We've had 3 different mayors, and we've had 5 different elections since 2006. They've all worked their butt off. So,
well, that must be a matter of perspective, because I know, and I'm not here to bash any, but I was told that one of the past ones didn't put hardly any time in, just showed up for meetings. Now, I have no clue, I didn't track them.
not during the time I've been here.
Okay, and I trust that. But I'm opposed to any raises at this time. But I think the town needs to understand that Dick does an amazing job. He's clearly pro-Lamar's. But it also is, and this is right from his mouth a couple of years ago, when I wanted to give him a raise and realized we couldn't just give a raise. It's not about the money, it's about the love for the town and the love for the job. So, I'm against any raise.
It's easy to say no, I guess, and that's why I probably said yes, because I don't think it's a big deal to give him 15 versus 12, and if we incentivize either him to run again or somebody else to run, so that's where I stand on it, but that's all right.
And in support of the mayor also, he's here nearly every day, and the days he's not here, he's at some meeting out of town or some meeting in town, representing the city. He does a fabulous job.
Let me just say that I really appreciate all the comments from the city council on the job that I've done. And I also appreciate the people on the street that have come up to me and made some very nice comments, and I share that with them. When I ran in 2008, I didn't run for the money. My purpose for running was, if I thought I could bring the experience that I had traveling over the road for 40 years and the connections that I've made, if I could bring that to this city, because Lamarge has been good to me since 1975, and this is one reason why I ran in 2008. But I felt in my own mind, if I could bring that experience and be supportive of running this town, or be supportive in a leadership role on a business-like basis, common sense, rather than more government, and I got fooled when I got in here, by all means. But this is the purpose and the main reason that I've done it. I will also say that I didn't realize, to be very honest with you, I was going to be spending this much time. But the reason I am is because we've got a nice town here. Lamarge is on the map, believe me. And they're growing, and we're blessed with the industry we've got here. And I'm here to tell you that this is exciting. One of my fortes, to be very honest with you, was in business. One of my fortes that I've tried to bring across to the city is economic development, because that's what helps cities grow. And I enjoy doing that. It's not easy, but when you can make a nice move in an economic development program, it's very rewarding. And this is one of the reasons why I do it, why I spend so much time at it. I ran this last term, and I had made up my mind, being very honest with you, that this is probably the last time in 10 years. And the reason I did, mainly at that time, was because I'm like Delana Urke, I believe in term limits, you know? And I take a look at Senator Grassley and Senator Harkin, and I've known them both. And they've done a tremendous job, and they both know where Lamar's eye was at. Case in point, Harkin was very instrumental in helping getting a $30,000 matching grant for our Legion, which has allowed us to go in there and remodel it and decorate it up, and it's been a real asset in doing it. Grassley was in town this last summer at the Kiwanis meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning. His henchman come up to me while he was talking. He said, "Senator Grassley wants a picture in front of one of the ice cream cones here. Can you arrange that?" I loaded his hind end in the car and took him up, and we got a picture of it. People are knowing Lamar's is here, and they're doing it. And then the word got out on the street about 90 days ago that I was resigning right in the middle of the term. It was news to me, but boy, I tell you what, and then they got to going, "Well, you're going to run again." I'm here to tell you, I'm going to put the stop to the rumor. And sitting here today, I'll tell you where my position's at. I got 6 months. You got to be in by June. And I'm going to tell you, my plans are right now is to run again, providing my health holds up. So if that's answering any question, we'll take the questions out.
I'm a little like Rex. I'd like to see us at least set a public hearing and get some input from the community.
That's fine.
If they think we're all overpaid, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. So I would make a motion that we set a public hearing. What date do we need?
Let's go January.
January 7th, is that?
No, let's go the 17th, let's go the second one.
Okay, 17th.
No, we don't have any rush on
The raising is starting until next year anyway.
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And it's before we do budget, so we know what we're doing. I just,
And at least bring the subject up. I'd really not I don't think we have to put dollar amounts in. We're just setting a public hearing.
And if somebody thinks we gotta put a dollar amount in, we could put in 15 grand and we can adjust it.
Yeah, I won't have a problem with that, whichever.
You want to make a motion on that?
I did.
And I-
Second.
Yep.
Motion made and second to set up a hearing for, what was the date? For January 17th in regard to the mayor and council salaries. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
I have been through 4 mayors, and I'm about done breaking new ones in, so that's good news to me.
You're still working on it.
Yeah, we got to get good.
Dick's comments are so well taken, and everybody at the council knows this, and if they don't, it's too bad. We all work extremely hard.
We do.
The city staff works extremely hard. The police department works extremely hard. The firefighters work extremely hard. We are very, very blessed to be in a town like this.
I just got to share this with you, as I shared at the last meeting. We kicked that tourism program up a notch, and you cannot believe, you absolutely can't believe the comments that come back after the people from the outside come in and spend a day with us. They absolutely have got such nice comments, it isn't funny. And that goes to show that, by golly, we got to be doing something right. And I say we, the council, our city administration people, and everybody,
I
so.
think they got 27 buses scheduled for the Browns at this month.
I got
Something like that.
16 total, and half of them are, I don't know, we've had three
Yeah.
on Monday, 2 yesterday, so, but it's working. Okay, let's move on. Discussion. John?
Nothing, Your Honor, except that I'm pleased you're running for another term.
Nothing at all.
Steve?
I'm equally pleased because you can still hold my hand all the way through my second year.
Well, I better say I'm not displeased. I just didn't know that it was worthy to say anything just yet. Let's get to that point, but yeah, go on. Whatever. I think you do a great job.
I want to comment on Steve's memo there. His hand did get a little sweaty in a couple of those meetings. Rex? Ken?
I'll pass, thank you.
Okay, real good. Scott?
There's about 12 projects, 5 of them have not moved forward. That includes Lake Avenue, Airport, AWAS, moving the garage off of the municipal park property, and Dogwood pavement. But the other 7 or 8 are moved right along and/or are completed. I don't have any other comments.
Any questions for Scott? Thanks, Scott. Jason? Nope. Anybody else? Nothing?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made to adjourn. Motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?